Hi there, welcome back to the studio. We are 88.5 the SoCal Sound and online at the SoCalSound.org. And please know that we are listener-supported public radio. If you like what we do on and off the air, become a subscribing member at the SoCalSound.org. Joe P., take it away.
Hi, I'm Joe P.
Not yet. There you go. Song's called Don't Wanna Love You. It is Joe P. And Joe, we getting some live music here in the stew today, if I could use that term.
That's what I do, so
yeah, do you?
I'm actually liking that.
Fair enough. Joe P., am I pronouncing that correctly?
I think, yes, it's of Italian descent.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I think you nailed it. Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. JoePthehyena.com is
right.
the website.
That's right.
How'd you land on that?
Favorite animal. I mean, with all this, like, trying to find names and tags and all that stuff, I was like, I got so fed up. There's a lot of Joes and a lot of Joe P's. And I ended up on just pick your favorite animal. Like my manager, Pergo, said, you could do like a favorite food or something. I don't know, man.
Okay.
I just wanted to get back to recording and writing, like at the beginning of this whole project. And I was so fed up with coming up with a name, coming up with an Instagram handle, that I just landed on that. I was like, I love hyenas. Done.
There you go. Your spirit animal.
Yeah, that's
perhaps.
it. It has become that, yeah.
The hyena, well, I could only hope that you laugh as much as a hyena because,
do.
you know, laughing is very important. I think you said, I read this online, I don't believe everything I read on the internet.
Okay.
But speaking of the song that you just played in our studio, Don't Wanna Love You,
Yeah.
you said it was a sad song disguised as a happy song. Is that true?
It's true, and I didn't know it until after. I flipped my schedule and I started doing this thing where I would wake up at 4 a.m. instead of going to sleep at 4, just to see what it would do musically and creatively.
Huh.
And it was cool. I started writing more upbeat things and like faster songs and like, oh, this is like a major key. So it was interesting. And that song came out of me, and I kind of realized after, I was like, okay, like I almost got all the way to the happy song, but and then I looked a little closer at it and I was like, okay, it's still a little crazy, but yeah, it is true. It is dressed up as a happy song.
Well, there are some releases people could get their hands on from Joe P. I got some vinyl here in the studio. Emily Can't Sing, as well as French Blonde.
That's right.
Over here. Thank you for signing the vinyl, my friend.
Sure.
New album. Thinking about 2024 then?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I was in the middle of getting it done and then tour, you know, and then it's just like, you think you're gonna do a bunch on the road, but you really just, any second you have, you're like, cool, I'll just sit here. Like,
yeah.
It's just amazing how much just like sitting, like if you get alone time or if you get just 5 seconds to kind of sit there for a second, it's kind of nice as opposed to, gotta get in the van, gotta get sound check going. You know, you appreciate the like nothingness a little more. And rather than go in the van and grab the acoustic and work on a song, you're like, I'll watch Cops, you know?
Okay.
It's like, most of the time. Sometimes I will work on stuff, but like, yeah, you love that downtime sometimes on tour.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, you're in Southern California now, and as we tape this segment, you got a day off, which is amazing.
That's right, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're visiting us, so.
It still feels like a day off. We're hanging out. I like it.
Yeah, we're hanging out. LA, Orange County, San Diego, the LA show at the Terragram Ballroom, Orange County, San Diego. I think both of those shows are at House of Blues. Yeah. Which is very cool. It's a headline tour.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a headline tour just as Joe P?
Once on the East Coast,
Oh.
which felt I was like, no one's gonna show up to this, and people did. But this is even crazier because it's just like, you know, playing in Santa Cruz and someone showing up is just like, and knowing the words or whatever. It's just weird. It's it's like, how do you know? I mean, it's funny because obviously, like, the internet exists, so of course people can find out about things.
Sure.
But there's something about it when it's, you know, when it's something that you make in your basement, and then all of a sudden you go to the other side of the country and people know it. That's weird.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Are you a man of the people? Afterwards, you walk
Yeah.
down through the lobby,
I love it.
say hi?
I always say, let's hang out after. And one of the shows, I literally got done with the song and didn't even do the, like, cool walk-off thing. I just was like, all right, the other guys did, and I like just sat down at the edge of the stage. I was like, let's just chill. I don't feel like going, and then avoided the encore too, which is good. I just was like, we're not doing that. Let's just hang. So it's great. I love it.
You are from New Jersey originally, right? And home base is still New Jersey, right?
That's right. New Jersey it is. Yes.
So do you have an affinity for those New Jersey musicians who came before you?
Yeah, I grew up not knowing the whole Bruce Springsteen thing, and then I kind of slowly, because I moved to South Jersey or Central Jersey, which is where he's from, the whole Asbury Park thing, the Stone Pony, and you couldn't get away from it. He's like their god there. So I was just always hearing about him. I lived in Belmar, New Jersey, which all the streets are labeled by letters, and I lived on B Street. So I started hearing about the E Street Band thing and whatever, and I was like, huh. And I drove over to E Street and looked it up on my phone, and it was a house that's where they met up and rehearsed. And it was cool because it was more of like, I almost more so was dug into like him as like a peer of like, also another guy from New Jersey who did music? No way. There's not a ton to be proud of being from New Jersey, so I needed everything I could get. And I found out about him and the E Street thing and Bruce. So before I even knew his music, I was already looking up to him in this way of like, all right, maybe I can do it too. Let me stop freaking out. Because I was freaking out. I dropped out of college. I'm living in New Jersey. Like, what am I doing with my life? And so he was kind of like the thing that kind of kept me going. And then I, of course, listened and got it.
Right. Yeah. Incredible. Well, you're about to play a cover.
That's right.
For us. It is a Springsteen song.
It is. Yes.
So we're going to get into it now, and then more from our studio, and more with Joe P. next. And this is the SoCal Sound. There you go. I'm on Fire, Bruce Springsteen, done brilliantly by Joe P. in studio. Is there a P Street Band in the works, maybe? Not E Street Band, but maybe P Street Band.
I guess there kind of is. I mean, it's tough with the letter P how much you can do. You can
do a lot.
You get tricky. You get really tricky.
Speaking of that, man, your logo.
Yeah.
I was staring at it for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it makes sense.
Really?
It says Joe P right there, kind of.
First person to figure that out.
Who came? Who came up with the that logo, which is on some merch items as well? Yeah.
I just I really was like, I'm not gonna have a signature. Like I'm never gonna be able to do that. I can't. I'm terrible. So I started just finding other ways to combine the letters. And then I turned it into this symbol, and then I turned this symbol into a signature. And I was like, okay. So It's really just my lack of penmanship and laziness.
Good. Yeah. Maybe one day you will just simply be known as the symbol.
Yeah, look at that. We'll do the Prince thing, right?
Correct.
If a record label situation happens, we might have to.
We'll see what happens down the road.
I know.
I wouldn't rule it out.
That's what I'm saying.
In this economy, I don't know what that means. You mentioned playing shows and having people know the lyrics, which is mind-blowing, but of course it's the internet age. There was something that happened a few years ago. It seems like it happened organically. I think you were playing, what were you playing? Maybe fighting in the car, in the backyard in the snow type of thing.
Yes.
And Zane Lowe picked up on it.
That was crazy. That was the true, example of how amazing TikTok and all these things can be, as opposed to you have to tour until you're going crazy. You know what I mean? So, and I literally was unloading groceries from ShopRite and saw my phone get a notification that said Zane Lowe, and I was like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, and it was just, so I was wrapping my head around these weird things and it was happening a lot where I would do a very minimal thing, because the thing is, I came from a world of you go on tour, you go in a van and you drive and you just by the end of it you're a shell of a human, but you've given your music everything you got. And the idea of going in my backyard for 2 seconds and essentially lip syncing a song that I recorded, and that getting to Zane Lowe, I was like, oh, have I been doing it wrong? I thought the harder you work, but sometimes it's work smarter, not harder.
Did you find that moved the needle then a little bit? And,
I guess so.
I mean, fans?
The thing is, it's like anything else. It's all relative, where because it's easier to do things like that, it means a little less. It's like how comedians always talk about playing on The Tonight Show isn't as big of a deal as it used to be. Or even musically playing on The Tonight Show used to be the biggest deal in the world. If you were on, Letterman, it was huge.
Yeah.
Now it's like someone's on Seth Meyers or someone's on, Fallon or something, and it's obviously a big deal, but it's not like there aren't the same amount of people watching that, and it just doesn't carry that weight that it used to. So everything kind of has diluted a little bit, I think, in that world, and that's why it's like you get used to seeing notifications that are this and that and a million likes and a gazillion views on a video as you're scrolling, and it's like nothing to you. You know, it's like crazy. So yeah, it's a little, but I'm happy about it because I'm just like, cool. I didn't want to focus on that anyway. I just wanted to keep making songs and not get too wrapped up into like, why work on music when I can just work on being like a salesman for my music and just fake it up to the top.
No, that's, oh my god.
People are doing that, and
they
it's cool.
They are,
It's smart
and people
for them.
are getting record deals
And then,
from that.
But then the record companies, I think, are going like, oh, they can't do anything past that one thing.
Right, they can't play a show.
Yeah,
you know.
they can't. Yeah, they can't drive a van.
Yeah,
like you know, that's what's weird to me is like the people that are getting signed. That it's like, okay, cool, we signed you, and then it's like, cool, you have to like go on tour now. Like you have to like know what it's like to like break a cable and like solder it in the van on the way to the next venue. And I'm like, oh, I guess people don't do that though. That's just like crazy people like me who like just set it up to be that way, where it's like, I'm gonna be self-sufficient. I'm gonna try to be able to do everything myself. But by doing that, the record labels are like, cool, then like we don't have to like help you as much because you can do that, which is great because I want to have that full control. But I think there's something good to learn in those things where it's like, you know what it's like to be in a van that broke down on the side of the road and play for 2 people and the bartender. Like, I think a lot of people are skipping those parts. And because of that, the things that they're doing aren't as substantial because like there's none of that like baseline groundwork there to make their thing they're doing now great. You know what I mean? Like Springsteen is great because he played 1 billion shows, not because he was born perfect.
Right.
So I think that's a thing that's being missed, and we're missing out on a lot of bands developing.
Yeah, you can't cut corners, and that's the advice I would give to anybody pursuing anything in any industry. Is you got to start off at the ground floor and just grind it out.
And it's fun. It's crazy, but it's fun in the sense of the thing that makes it worth it when 100 people show up instead of the 2 people and the bartender. You're gonna play a different show because you're so grateful to that feeling of like, oh wow, you know, like rather than like you post something, it blows up, now there's sold out clubs because you know whatever, and then you go show up, but you don't really know how to put on a show. You don't know how to give those people what they deserve as fans or whatever you want to call it. So and then people go and they see you and then they go, okay, that was good. I don't need to go back and see that person because there wasn't actually anything there. It was, they just got to see this like moment of like, this is like the popular kid in school, like cool. Doesn't really mean anything, you're just the popular kid in school. Yeah. You gotta have something to back it up though, or else it won't even be fun for you, I don't think, you know, as the artist, so.
I hear you. We're gonna get another song in our studio pretty soon, a great sort of acoustic version, live version of Off My Mind. Our listeners are probably familiar with that song. We have been playing that on the air for a little bit. But a couple more questions if you don't mind. Last time I saw you was in Boulder, Colorado. Yeah. Certainly a great town. Yeah. We had a dinner at a restaurant. There were a whole bunch of people there. Yeah. Great steak dinner.
Great.
And then you performed right there in the restaurant. We were not expecting that, but that was very cool to bust out the guitar.
Yeah.
Post-steak
That's not easy.
It wasn't like a light meal.
No, I went to town on the steak. Like people were saying, man, you really ate a lot of that steak.
Yeah.
And then Brian Corona was like, hey, I think now's the time. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really, you want to see what I just ate? Because I'm not feeling like doing anything. But I did. We did it, and it was fun.
Yeah, that was cool. And I think you shared the story of your previous band, which Deal Casino, right?
Yes.
And how for the longest time that was sort of your identity.
Yeah.
And now you're sort of paving your own way as a solo artist.
Right.
What happened to that original project?
It was, it's like any other band situation where you start in 7th grade because you're in North Jersey. It was like we're the only 4 people that were playing music like that. And we, met up in a garage, played your best friends, and you just go on and do that. But the issue is like, it's like anything. It's like a relationship, a band, Yeah. So like, it's just there at a certain point. You get used to it, and then it's just, this is what we're doing. And it was like, this is 100% it. I can't imagine anything without it. And then COVID hit, and I think like a lot of people in a lot of situations or relationships, it forced everyone, I think, to look at themselves or that other person or a group of people and be like, let's see this for what it really is. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine like a couple that moved in a week before COVID hit. That's different than if they moved in and COVID didn't happen because they could, have time away from each other and whatever. This was like, hey, every day we're going to be all 3 meals every second. I'm going to hear everything you do and say. And then I bet a lot of relationships failed in that sense because you weren't meant to be like that, together like that, you know? So I think the band, it was almost like we had a ton of history and, you know, we were ready for anything, but I think people were faced with like, in the band, what do we do? And I was like, nothing changed. This is great. I'm not the weirdo in my basement on a Friday when everyone wants to go to the beach because no one can go to the beach. I'm like good now. Where everyone else was like, oh, we're usually those people that go to the beach and like let you do this crazy stuff. Like we didn't realize how crazy it really is to just always be doing this. So I think they realized how much they did or didn't love it, like obsess over it. Like they have no role. Kind of. So it naturally fizzled out, I think, in that sense, where everyone, it was this nice kind of mutual thing. And then like I said, nothing changed for me in the sense of like, this is all I'm going to do. So, all right, guys, I'll just, now it's just me. Okay.
All right, another question for you, should you choose to accept, is how did this short horror film come about? If we run, and people could find it online right now, it's 30 minutes long, it's incorporating music. Did you come up with that? Are you the person behind the scenes as well, as far as this video content?
Yes. Me and my friend Tony, who's the director, every video I've ever done, he was a director, and kind of like me and him wrote all the ideas together. And he plays bass in the band. We were talking and like, you know, it's time to do music videos, it's time for these new songs, and let's do 4 videos, here we go. And we were kind of like, I wish we could do something else. You know, it was like, you only get 3 or 4 minutes in a video. You got to play to the song. It's lip syncing, you know. So I was like, what if we did a movie and made it a musical type thing? We didn't know it was a musical until it was all done and we watched it. I was like, this is a musical. Yeah. Like it's literally, there's a song every little bit. Yeah. And then we just started to work it into the movie a little. So like when the killer's running in and the girl's running around the house, like it's on the TV on like a fake Tonight Show. So it isn't just full on like movie, stop, watch a song, back to the movie. It's a little more like, okay, we're incorporating it to not rip you out of the movie too hard. Right. And my friend Michael Gandolfini, who's an actor, literally messaged me during COVID and was like, man, I love your music, whatever. We became friends. And I always wanted to put him in a music video, but there was never anything with any acting in it enough where I wanted to call him to do it. But this, I was like 30 minutes, like, all right, we can get him in and do some cool stuff, like with real dialogue and whatever, and write something for him. And he showed up. The plan was to like get him in and out. Like you'll be the first one to die, like the axe murder. It's great. But he was like, we're gonna need more days, and he ended up becoming like obsessed with the whole process, and was like, he came back for the reshoot days to hold lights and stuff. Like he was the best. Incredible. Yeah, so it was like a really cool beginning to a cool friendship in that way. And now we've done a billion other things with him. But yeah, we were bored of doing music videos essentially, and just tried something else out. And the label was like, okay, go for it.
That was very cool, man. Sweet. I love the innovative sort of nature to it.
Thanks.
You know, it's cool, man.
Thank you.
One more song before we wrap it up. Again, joepthehyena.com is the website. People can get the merch, get some music. There's more music on the way, which is amazing. We're certainly here to support you.
Thank you.
And whenever you come through town, you're always welcome to hang.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. Thank you.
Do you appreciate public radio?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, every time we're rolling around, I'm like, because I'm not a big like Spotify music listener. I'm not even a big music listener in a crazy way, if that makes any sense. But if I do, I kind of like to be more random. So I kind of like listen to like the college radio station. A lot of the college radio stations in all towns across America, there's like no commercials, and it's like some of them it's just like crazy noises. Like there's some music on those stations that I'm like, this is wild, but I'm like, I'm probably the only person listening to whatever this is, because it's like 3 a.m. I'm driving the van or something, and I'm like, this is more interesting than like throwing on Kid A for the 100th millionth time or something. You know what I mean? So I'm a big fan of that. And in Jersey, we have a lot of great stations. Like Monmouth County has just like a lot of cool college stations and stuff that I'm always throwing on, and I know those guys just from growing up around there and everything. It's just cool to hear them on the radio because you know them. So
no, that's cool, man. So off my mind, you want to give us a storyteller's sort of moment on this one, and then we'll rip into it and call it a day.
Sure. Yeah, this one's cool because a lot of people come up to me at shows thinking like, this got me through a breakup and all this stuff, which is great. But it's funny because I've been with the same girl since I was in freshman year of high school. So it isn't really about that. I feel bad when I tell people that.
Yeah.
But it's like, to me, that song is about like multiple people, I would say. It's more, it's family tied into it. She's in it, but it's not necessarily like, when you're with someone that long, it's not like you kind of almost do break up and go in and out, because what happens is that you become different people throughout it. So the lines in that feel like that kind of are still, you could still apply them 100% to a breakup. But for me, it was more just like an issue within the relationship. Doesn't mean it ended, doesn't mean anything. It's like a new version of that person comes along, and it's like you have to figure out how to grow. I think that's why relationships fail, is because, long-term ones anyway, because you don't ever change, and then you see them and they're just, you go to a dinner with them and at a bar and you're like, I wish you guys didn't come, I don't want to do any of that. So I like to, every couple of months it feels like, oh, it's a new person. Like, that's what keeps it kind of fun and interesting to do. So that song is kind of like based in that. It's just kind of like leapfrogging from one version of two people to another.
Yeah, incredible. So here it is, Off My Mind. It's the stripped down sort of solo acoustic version. It is Joe P. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And this is the SoCal Sound.
Nice. Cool. While we got you still